Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Aries in the month of November 2018. What's up, Aries? How you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Oh boy, look at this. This year is like almost over, right? One more month, and then we roll over to 2019. That'll be fun. Anyway, I hope things are going well for you in your life. I hope you had a happy Halloween if you celebrate. And if you celebrate Thanksgiving like we do here in the United States, I hope you have a lovely Thanksgiving later on this month in November. It's one of my favorite holidays, if not my most favorite holiday. I mean, it's a glorious time to sit around and eat and be with family and stuff. I love it. Anyway, that's a whole nother anecdote that's not necessary. Anyway, as you can see here, Aries, I went ahead and I shuffled for your main spread off camera to save time. Shuffle now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all cards are out and they're lying face up, that's when the reading will begin. Look in the description box below and you're going to find the timestamp for that. You're also going to find down there in the description box information on how to get a personal reading with me if you are ever so inclined. And let's go ahead and get it. Aries outcome, November 2018. Whoa. Is that two? Okay. Came sideways, so aren't you lucky? Which way, please, for Aries? This way, okay. Alright, so, thought you were going to get away without having two cards in one position, huh? Well, you're wrong. You're wrong, Aries. Alright, let's flip the rest of these and see what's going on. Well, well. Well, well, my gosh. Alright, guys. What's going on here? Hmm? Okay. Please show me Aries in November 2018. Where's Aries in November, please? Please show me. Right here. Okay. Very good. Aries, you come in as the Three of Swords. Hold on, let me straighten that out. There we go. That looks a little better. Excuse me. Come in as Three of Swords in reverse for November. So, I'm sure many of you have been watching, if not my videos, other tarot readings in general. If you're new, welcome, of course. But if you're a veteran, you kind of know what this card's all about, right? It's a card of heartache. It's a card of heartbreak and anguish, and in some cases a third-party situation. So that could be something romantic, or it could be something platonic, or not even romantic at all. Just the idea of three different energies or positions or perspectives being involved in one core situation. So a lot of times that could be maybe if it's not a cheating scenario, if it's not a scenario about infidelity, it would be a scenario of, let's say, still a relationship, but the third party could be in-laws, or the third party could be work. The third party could be, to a lesser extent, but still in the serving to the principle, it could be children, or the demand of being a parent on top of being in a relationship with your partner, your spouse, your lover, whoever. So there's this third dynamic that pulls away from the dynamic or the bond between two people or two energies. So third party situation a lot of times just is blanket statement, or is considered to be a blanket statement for infidelity. And that might be the case for some of you, Aries. But when I pick this card up, and just how, as I read as a person, unless I'm reading specifically for you in a relationship, I'm not going to say that this is definitely to do with someone is cheating, someone has cheated, or the situation involved something to do with infidelity. I can't say that. It's a general reading. So being upset, being heartbroken, being dismayed, disappointed is definitely at your core right now. And not I shouldn't say at your core. It's in your head. Because, you know, Swords deals with your mental capacities, how you think, how you communicate, things like that. So something about being disheartened, disappointed, upset in some cases from a romantic standpoint, but in other cases in a purely platonic type of situation or platonic relationship. But there was just something that, you know, you lost your cookies. That's not the phrase. You guys are wrong. Because they're like, they put that in my head, lost your cookies. I'm like, no, that's not what that means, but okay, I know what they're trying to say. So, not lost your cookies, because that means to vomit. But maybe some of you have. So maybe you've been sick. Maybe some of you have been so sick about a situation that you did vomit. Okay, I'll allow it, guys. I'll allow it. So in that case, maybe some of you have been so dismayed and stressed out or affected by a situation that you've been physically ill. That could be the case. But what the feeling of lost their cookies, what the feeling was behind it was, there was a plan, there was something where you basically placed your bet. You know, if this is a roulette table, you placed your money on black, came up red, you busted out. You went bankrupt at the crap table, or excuse me, at the roulette table. Okay? So there was something where you really had your heart set on something, or you really had this idea or this plan or this intention, and it just didn't go your way. In some cases, it was because other people involved or another person involved let you down or dropped the ball or didn't fulfill their end of an obligation or their end of a agreement. In other cases, it's just disappointment in another person, not necessarily, you know, I was counting on you to run these errands, or I was counting on you to cash or to write that check for me, or it's more casual than like an actual specific action. It's just this consistent, not consistent, but this very, like, I suppose the temperature is how they're making it feel. Like there's a constant flow or a constant presence of being disappointed with someone else's actions or inactions. Or this could be how someone is viewing you, Aries. It could go vice versa. It is a general reading. But the significance of this coming in reverse is, I think you're like fully aware of this. And to me, awareness is always, you know, half of the battle, half of the trouble is being aware of what's bothering you or what you need to focus on or what you need to work on improving in your life. And I think that this is something that you realize, Aries, has been sitting with you, again, in your mind. At some point it was in your heart. I mean, the fact that there's a stabbed heart on this card is not lost on me, and it shouldn't be lost on you. So at some point this did affect you emotionally. But at this point, especially since it's in reverse, I feel that this feeling of disappointment or whatever has transferred into your mental space. And so you're working on minimizing it. And I'm using that word deliberately because some of you are working on minimizing it. And I don't necessarily think that's a good thing to minimize. I think you, because what do I mean when I say minimize? I feel that if you're working on minimizing it, it means that you're working on repressing it. It means that you're working on avoiding it, or you're working on making it so that it's not as bad as it seems. Like you're downplaying how the severity of how this is affecting you, or the severity of the situation in overall. And I don't think you want to do that. What you do want to do, like I said, is to acknowledge what has happened, or acknowledge the people who have hurt you, or the people that you have hurt, whatever your situation is, and you want to face it. But you might be a little bit like either skeptical of this, or you might be a little like avoidant of this. There's just this feeling of it's here, you know it's here, you can see it, you can easily identify who this person is that has affected you, or what the situation is that has affected you. You can label it all, you can see it clear as day, but what you do with it, Aries, is kind of what's up in the air here. I feel that you see it, you can claim it, you can label it, you can point a finger and say that right there, or this person over there, or whatever. But what's the point in just naming the source of your anguish or the source of your heartache? What's the point in just naming it? You must be proactive and do something to counteract it, or begin to actively heal it. Like I said, instead of minimizing, you might want to work on actively healing it. And that's kind of where you are, because and the fact that I feel it's mostly for many of you going to be in your mental capacity. I think that's like something that is sort of foreign to some of you. Like a lot of times, Aries, you are gut instinct first, think, rationalize later. So you can be very reactionary. You can be kind of knee-jerky in when you make decisions. Not to say that you're not smart. You're absolutely incredibly smart. You're incredibly intelligent. But you can be someone who, even if you've plotted and you planned, you don't act on that plot or that plan until your gut says it's okay. So there's this idea of, unless your gut tells you you should do something, you don't do it until you're ready, through the gut. Your brain could be telling you, we should be doing this. Your heart might be telling you, we should be doing that. But if your gut says, I'm not ready, the situation isn't right, I don't feel like it, in some cases, it's not there. You have to have this gut instinct that when you move forward down whatever path you're going, when you get to your next destination, your next pit stop or whatever, you will be satisfied. You will be satisfied with with the journey that you've taken. I hope that makes sense. So like, you just would not move forward unless you knew you would be satisfied. Not satisfied as in pleased or satisfied as in being happy. Satisfied with whatever happened. If you move forward and your next stop is to be sad or depressed, you don't want to go there unless you know it was worth it in a sense, or you had but you expected to be sad or disappointed or depressed at the next part of your life. Does that make sense? Like, you have to, Aries, you feel that you have to control or have some insight into what's going to happen to you next, emotionally, mentally, and of course through your gut, primarily through your gut. So I hope that makes sense to you, what I'm trying to say. So you're kind of lingering in this Three of Swords reversed energy. You're knowing, you're dissatisfied with where you are now, or you're dissatisfied with something that has happened to you recently, or a relationship that just is lingering on, whatever it is in your situation. But you haven't really made any steps forward yet. I feel that you're very close. You have many cards of action around you and a few cards of inaction around you. And that's interesting. I just noticed that. You've got 3 cards in this L shape here reversed, and you've got 3 uprights here. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's kind of like your choice. I feel that these are more action oriented and these are more like, let's just stay here a while and chill out. And not even in a good way. Some of you might be allowing a situation to fester. Some of you might be allowing a situation to really weigh you down and hold you back. And that's indicated here. So for those of you that are doing that, let's go there, okay? Death. Right, okay. So for those where, and I don't feel this is for everybody. I think you're in just about 2 distinct groups. So for those of you who are in the Three of Swords and you're kind of just like sitting there, twiddling your thumbs, biding your time, some of you might still be planning, or again, it might be that whole thing of your gut isn't necessarily aligned and isn't ready to thrust you forward into the next step or the next phase or the next pit stop or some type of solution. You're also here in this Nine of Swords energy. And the reversals are not always the opposite of what an upright card indicates. A lot of times it's the lesser of it, the undertone, not the undertone, but the less intense version of what you would expect if a card came upright. So when this card is upright, I'm just going to show you for a moment. You know, if you're familiar with tarot, this is like a card of being stuck mentally, feeling as if you have no outlet or you have no way of escape. You feel trapped, you feel oppressed in some type of way. And when it's in reverse, sometimes the opposite is true. In this case, Aries, no. This is just the lesser of it. I think a lot of you, like a grand majority of you, I don't know why I said it that way, grand majority, but whatever. There's a grand majority of you that are really aware of how stuck you are really aware of how tied your hands are. You might be tied to a situation in your work or business. You might be tied to a certain relationship. You might be on waiting for a relationship to end or waiting for the right moment to tell someone you don't love them anymore, something like that. And so you just realize you're kind of in this holding pattern. I think most of you realize this. You realize that whatever you want to get to next, you're just not ready to make the move to go forward. The reasons why: some of you, it is a lack of confidence, like not even most. Like some of you, it is a lack of confidence. It's a lack of certainty. It's a lack of feeling correct in what you're going to do. So if you're trying to leave a job and you've been there for 15 years, 20 years, but you know you want to start your own business, you might have an issue with feeling like disloyal to your boss or disloyal to the people that you work with, that you've made these wonderful work connections with. And so you might struggle with actually taking that leap and going out and striking out on your own, okay? And if it was a relationship, it might be the same thing. I've been with this person 10 years, 15 years, whatever, and we have 3 kids together. I love them, but I don't love them like that no more. Not the children, but the partner. And so you're kind of thinking, I'm not past my prime. I can get back out there and maybe I can meet someone that I actually want to spend the rest of my life with. And that's a tough place to be in. I've never been in it, but I've been the receiver of such energy. And I don't for one second think that it's easy to do that. So wherever you're standing, Aries, you know that it's difficult. You know that you're not ready to move yet. This is for those who the gut is not ready. The gut is not aligned with what your mind has envisioned. Your gut is not aligned with what your heart desires yet. You need those 3 or at least 2 of those things to be very much aligned before you can start moving. So for those who you're not moving, that's what's going on. You feel, to a certain extent, in a disarray. Or a disagreement even within yourself. You might be having that, some of you might be having, your head says one thing, your heart says another thing, and your gut is just like, well, you two come to some type of agreement so that we can move forward. You might be going through a lot of inner dialogue and weighing out the pros and cons of a situation, or weighing out exactly when to move forward with a certain decision or a certain action. And so that would keep you stuck in your mind. Again, the swords is about your mental capacities, how you think, how you communicate, how you rationalize the world, things like this. So if that 8 of Swords is your energy, you yourself or at this moment are your worst enemy. You are your own worst enemy at this moment, Aries. Because mentally you're kind of going around on a hamster wheel and you're not really finding much of a solution. And again, it's because those 3 parts of yourselves, those 3 instincts, or those 3 perspectives or inputs, if you want to think of it that way, are just not seeing eye to eye. They're not really, like I said, aligned. They're not really, making sense to one another. They're kind of conflicting. They're kind of clashing. They're not melding like you need them to. And because of that inability to make a decision, inability to act, or just not having the courage to act, in some cases it's just not the right time for you, you're in this other energy of the Death card reversed. Card of Scorpio, so there might be a Scorpio of significance in your life, but it doesn't have to be. And the Death card is about transformations. It's about, like, I don't know why I have to explain it to you this way, but this is what I'm led to do. When you think about on a biological level, let's take it back to like high school biology, right? On a biological or biological level, we are all matter, right? We're all made of carbon mostly, right? And when you die, on a biological level, you're still carbon. You just change form slightly. And your body will begin, your corpse or whatever will begin to deteriorate over time, whether you're put in the ground or, in some cases you might be, why can't I think of the word? Cremated, thank you. And then that process changes your carbon physical body into another form of carbon or another form of atoms and molecules. Does that make sense? Like, that's the transformation of death. Literally, that is the transformation. Your physical body changes from this to this to this. Circle of life, if you want to think of it that way. A lot of people, to take it a more macabre way, might say, you turn into worm food You know what I mean? But that's the idea of the death card, is that it's inevitable. At some point, that change from being a living, breathing, talking, animated, physical creature to an inanimate creature or an inanimate body is inevitable. It has to happen. It will happen. No one can stop it. But bringing this back to the more philosophical application or the more esoteric application of the death card, when this is in reverse, I'm feeling this as it's slowly coming about. You know, this transformation, whatever it is that you need to transform in your life, Scorpio. Or, excuse me, Aries, I'm sorry. It's slowly coming about for most of you on either side. Those who are active and those who are inactive. I feel it's slowly coming about no matter who you are. For those who are in the inactive class or the inactive portion of the viewers, you are blocking it. You are either consciously or subconsciously just preventing this transformation. Some of you are really like hesitant. Are you scared? I don't know. Are you anxious? Maybe. Are you feeling if you changed or if you started the ball rolling on this transformation, it might be misread in some kind of ways? Whatever it is, you are considering the result or the ramifications, and that's why you're blocking it or delaying it, or, you know, kind of, in some cases, some of you are pretending that this change is not happening. Like, I don't know what you mean. You know, in the case of long-term relationships or marriages where you're trying to, you know, you're getting yourself psyched up to go back out into the dating world and separate from your husband or wife or whatever, you know, your current partner might be looking at your phone and they might see, oh, you've got like a dating app on there, or you're getting certain text messages or whatever from people, you know, that they have a suspicion that you kind of like or that you flirted with in the past. And you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, Beth. This is not what's going on here, you know, and you're kind of downplaying it because you're not ready to break Beth's heart. And again, like I said, with this Three of Swords in reverse energy, that could be, you know, this hurt, this dismay, this depression, this anger, this sadness could belong to someone else. You could be giving that energy, or not giving that energy, but you could be one of the reasons someone else feels this way. It could go either way. But in general, those who are in the kind of sitting on it energy, kind of biding your time, you want to make sure that everything is right before you move forward. This is you guys all in that corner there. And I mean, that makes sense. If you're not 100% sure of something, Aries, like I said before, you're just not going to do it. Like, you know, you're the first sign of the Zodiac, you're the first cardinal sign. That means you want to be first and you want to be correct. You do not want to make missteps, and you don't want to go to something or make moves towards something after someone else has done it, or after someone else has told you about it. Does that make sense? Like, you want to lead your, you know, manifest destiny is you. You write your own story, you direct your own story, you act in your own story. You are just there. You want to be behind the helm, behind the wheel of all of it. And when you're not ready to do that, there's no reason to go forward, basically, is what I'm feeling. For those of you who are a little more ready to move forward, you're all over here. And I feel that it's kind of, it's triumphant, but then it's not easily triumphant. Okay? So you still share this energy with the other portion of the Aries in your in your spiritual community, I suppose. You still share this Three of Swords in reverse energy, but you... Some of you are just gonna hightail it out of there. Whatever situation you're in. The Knight of Wands. This is related to fire signs, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. So, of course, you're an Aries, but there might be a Leo, Sagittarius, or another Aries of significance in your life, but it doesn't have to be. It is kind of, it's just a court card. It can indicate that there's someone significant in your life who fits the bill of a Knight of Wands, but I feel that this is mostly aligned with those Aries who are ready to rock and roll. And that's what the Nine of Wands is. He's ready to rock and roll. He's ready to go, go, go. He sort of has a plan, but he's definitely more attached to his gut instinct, and he's driven by his desires. He's driven by his creative endeavors. He's driven by his sexual desires. He's driven by his desire and his seeking of adventure. And so for some of you, that's exactly what this is. You are tired of your sexless marriage, so you're out trying to get some. You're tired of your dead-end job where there's nothing that fulfills you. You don't feel creative, or you don't feel as if you have significant input. You feel kind of like a cog in a machine, and you don't want to feel that way. You want to be somewhere where you feel valued, or you want to be somewhere that, you know, wakes you, like gives you a reason to wake up in the morning. Whatever your situation is, Aries, some of you, not all, on the active side, some of you are going to be like, I'm out, boom, and right out the door. He's very quick. He's not the fastest. The Knight of Swords is the fastest, but he is quite easily the second fastest. And like I said, the Knight of Wands, he is not one to hold back. He's very active. He's very sure of himself, even if he makes a mistake. And that's where I think some of you Aries might be sort of, for lack of a better phrasing, might be biting off more than you could chew, or you might be overestimating your circumstances or overestimating your decision or abilities. Not to say you shouldn't do it, just be careful that it might not work out exactly like you want. Which of course is, like I said before, kind of not what Aries aims for anyway. You don't aim to do anything to fail. But the Knight of Wands is so sort of carefree. He's sort of, you know, flies by the seat of his pants, that failure doesn't even cross his mind. So that's what I'm getting at. Some of you are not being as cautious or as mindful as you normally would be. And not to say you shouldn't be, it's just that's your situation. So be aware of that. So if something comes back to bite you, don't be surprised, because you went ahead and you acted in this guy's energy, the Knight of Wands energy, which is, well, I'm just going to do it. And whatever happens is whatever happens. Okay, if that's the philosophy that you're going to pick up and you're going to borrow for a little while, and that's how you're going to live for a little bit, don't be surprised if things don't work out the way that you want them to, or certain consequences come to you that you don't appreciate. Just want you to be aware of that. But regardless, I feel that for some of you Aries, that's kind of what you need. Like, if you've been stuck, again, like in a sexless, boring marriage, not to make it like it's frivolous and it's not important, but if you've been in that pattern for months or years, or the same thing in your work experience, you've been working this dead-end job for 5 years, you're not going anywhere, the company's not going anywhere, you can't get promoted, you can't get transferred to whatever, everything's kind of been coming up no, and has been showing you that your progress is stunted, it's stuck and it's stunted, then yeah, you might need to just, you know, pull the plug on something and be like, you know what, walk in there Thursday morning, I quit. Knight of Wands would do that. I quit. No 2 weeks notice, no, you know, exit interview. No, it's just like, no, I just came to pick up my few things and I'm out of here. And people were like, oh, but Bob, where are you going? It doesn't matter, I'm out of here. The Knight of Wands would do that. And in some cases, that might be something that you need to do, Aries. Like I said, and there's a lot of things that I'm saying that, thank you. For some of you, Aries, you've been held back or in that holding pattern or in this cycle of being disappointed with something for so long that you've kind of forgotten that you're a boss, okay? You are meant to be a leader in some form or fashion. You're meant to feel proactive, and you're meant to revel in and express yourself in such a way that is proactive, that is creative, that is, for lack of a better phrase, to be admired. There needs to be something in you where, even if you're the only person that recognizes it, you need to be recognized. You need to be seen as someone who is worthwhile. So again, inside of a marriage, in work, within your own self, in your own personal development, how you view yourself when you look in the mirror, I don't care what person or what storyline you fall into, Aries, you have to have that confidence, and you have to have that admiration behind you. And when you don't have that, it's going to cause you to do this. Or it's going to cause some of you to do that, I should say. Which is to act kind of brash, briskly, and with not much rationale, not much reasoning. Just go in there, Thursday, I quit. And people are like, what? You just came in here Wednesday and you were like smiling and da-da-da, and Thursday you go in there, you know what? F all you guys, I'm out of here, da-da-da. Like a total flip of the switch is something that the Knight of Wands could do. So some of you will be doing that. Others of you will be going about it a little more covertly. Six of Swords. So for this one, I'm feeling this is more of like, for those who want to act, and you're ready to act, your gut is kind of aligned, your mind is aligned. The Six of Swords, or Swords again, is relating to your mental capacities. So for those where you're ready to act, you're ready to move, but you don't want to basically ruffle any feathers, you're going to try and do it in the Six of Swords way. Six of Swords is about moving from stormy waters to calm waters. And as you can see, this isn't a speedboat. This isn't, you know, what are those things called? Oh God, what are they called? Jet ski. It's not a jet ski. It's a rowboat. Or not even a rowboat. What do you call this? A standing rowboat? Whatever. It's not moving fast, basically, is the point of this. This is very slow moving. One person, there are 3 people in total in that boat, but only one person is making that boat go forward. So there is this idea that some of you, Aries, have to kind of take the reins and kind of, like I said, lead the situation. Lead yourself or lead someone, and maybe in a family situation, maybe this is you taking your kids and getting out of a bad situation. Maybe this is you and taking your dog and getting out, or you taking your possessions, whatever. There's this idea of you have to take whatever you desire most, whatever's important to you, whatever you value, whatever you want to keep safe, and you have to move away on your own. Like in some cases, literally move away. In other cases, it's more of a figurative move away. So again, it could be not necessarily a full break in a relationship, but perhaps a separation. Or, you know, in a case of like a roommate situation, it could be we're still friends, but I can't live with you anymore. So it's not a break in our relationships, but it is a change in our living dynamic. So in some cases, for those Aries, it's a lot less intense than the Knight of Wands, but the idea of movement is still there. It's slower, it's less intense. In some cases, it has to be secret. Like this is like that's that scene from What's Love Got to Do with It? Angela Bassett playing Tina Turner, and she's like on the phone whispering to her mom, shh, mom, I gotta get out of here. And she's like, you know, getting her kids up at like, you know, past midnight. She's sneaking them off because she doesn't want her crazy husband, abusive Ike Turner, to know that I'm leaving you. She does it in the darkness of night, in the middle of the night, hush hush. And it's because she can't go to Ike and say, you know what, Ike? I don't like that you beat me. I don't like that you make me live in these oppressive circumstances, and I fear for my life and the life of my children. I'd like to leave right now. Like, that would have evolved into whatever level of violence or whatever level of who the hell do you think you are coming from Ike Turner to Tina. So she had to, because of the circumstances, go about it in a quote-unquote sneaky kind of way. So some of you might be in a situation similar to that. Not necessarily to the level of abuse, but if it is that, you know, I hope that you're safe. If you have to do that, please do it safely. But there is this idea of, if I went and I confronted this situation or this person head on, and I said that I wanted to get out or that I want things to change, that it would bubble over into something bigger, into a huge mess. So to avoid conflict, I'm going to go this way, right? So there's that element with the Six of Swords. In either situation, you're balling. You've reached a certain point in your life with the Strength card here, card of Leo, so there might be a Leo of significance in your life, but it doesn't have to be. But you've reached this point in your life, very different from your friends over here with the Death card reverse, where the change you want the change you desire, the change that you know you need that will make your life a whole lot better, you've embraced it. And you're embracing it with strength. You're reaching, if you haven't reached it, you're reaching, if you haven't reached it, you are reaching this point where, like, I can do bad all by myself is kind of how I'm feeling. The Strength card is about taking the reins, like I said before, and stepping out into power, into personal power. Not in a domineering way, not in an egotistical, maniacal way of, if you don't like it, get the fuck out, and everybody who's not down with me, y'all can just step. It's not angry for the most part. It is resilient. It is an energy of, like I said, ownership and acknowledging who you are and what you can bring to the table and what your strengths are. And you would also be able to acknowledge your weaknesses with the Strength card as well. And it's also about controlling the not the downside, but controlling the parts of yourself or the parts of the situation as best you can that aim to derail you, aim to keep you stuck, aim to keep you off your game, away from your goal, away from success. You would be able to combat that a lot easier. Because this woman on the card, you know, a lion can eat you alive. Whether you're friends with it or not. It at any moment it can rip your head off, rip your arm off, whatever. But she knows that, this woman who's basically petting this lion, she knows that. Despite the risk of losing limbs, she still partners up with the lion. She uses the negativity or the risky element in her favor. She doesn't back away from the lion. She doesn't tame it, you know, with a whip, and she doesn't use weaponry. She's out there using her hands. She touches and she grasps what could hurt her. I hope that makes sense. So whatever could hurt you, not losing, but quitting your job on the spot, you grab that. You take that power instead. And in some cases, maybe it's not even that the job is necessarily only dead end, but it's broken your spirit and you become a nastier person, or you become a more miserable, angry, pessimistic person because of this job. And you're realizing that, Aries. So you take that negative element and you thrust it out of your life by quitting. So the job, if you continued along with you, would be the lion. Could hurt you, could rip your arms off, could, you know, again, keep you depressed, make you feel worthless, make you feel as if, you know, you're not adding any good to the world, whatever. So instead of letting the lion be there and not taming it, you tame it by quitting, or you tame it by going in and schedule if it's not a full quit. Okay? There's this idea of, with the Strength card, I'm going to own what is trying to destroy me. I'm going to meet it head on, and acknowledge the effect that it's had on my life. So in the marriage that's dissatisfying to you, you go talk to your husband, you go talk to your wife, you say, listen, husband, wife, whomever, we have been this way for this long. I don't like it. I don't think you like it. Here's what I'm prepared to do going forward. And not in an ultimatum type of way, although for some of you that might be what you need to do, or that might be what you know how to do. But it's just this idea of this, the state of this relationship has destroyed me in this way, has affected me in this way, has changed my outlook on life in this way, has made me feel like I don't want children. Some of you, that's a big revelation for you. You've gotten with this person, you've been married for this long, but now you realize, I don't know if I want to have kids with you. Like, you're realizing that there's this beastly lion that could ravage your life if you continue to go forward with it. So you have to go to your partner and say, listen, I know you want kids and I want kids too. But if you don't stop this, and if I don't stop that, and if we don't come to some type of better agreement or some type of middle ground here, we can't do that. You know? So, again, not necessarily in terms of ultimatums, but there is this feeling of, owning your decision. Whether you go in there full force with the Knight of Wands, or if you kind of have to go about it Tina Turner way and do a little sneaky sneak out the back door, whichever way you do it, it will be with strength. Okay? Oh boy. So, your outcome for November, Aries, is the Queen of Swords and the 10 of... God, I almost blanked there. 10 of Wands. There we go. Oh, Queen of Swords. So, might be an air sign of significance in your life, a Gemini, Libra, or an Aquarius, but it does not have to be. And it could be something that you're borrowing this energy. It's an energy about decisiveness. It's an energy about taking no names. Or, is that? No. I don't know why I said that. Basically, kicking ass and taking names. Or... You know how that phrase goes. I don't know why I can't think of it. But anyway, it's about being really, really, really clear and really, really, in some cases, kind of icy or bitchy about what you are going to do next, or how you're going to approach the situation going forward, how you're going to communicate with people going forward. I'm not feeling that most of you will go to that extent where you would become, like I said, bitchy or... callous or cold and detached. I'm not feeling that would be something most of you would do. Some of you will. Let's be honest. Some of you will do that. But most of you are just wanting to be clear and calculated and precise about what you choose to do going forward. What you choose to say. Pardon me. How you choose to behave. How you choose to speak. You just want things to be no bones about it. Nobody can misconstrue. Nobody can misunderstand or misinterpret what I've said or done here. I want everybody to know what page I'm on, because that's the best way for me to kind of get all this crap sorted out. And if it's not you, it's someone in your life who's kind of radiating that energy and you're definitely close to them. Could be an advisor to you, a financial advisor, could be like a motherly figure or like a great aunt or something like that. It doesn't have to be a female, by the way. So it can be, you know, like a great uncle or something like that. But there is this, in this case, I feel it's a very feminine energy. So again, it doesn't have to be a woman just to be feminine. And it doesn't mean that if it is a man and he's feminine, it doesn't mean that he's gay. It's nothing like that. But it is this energy of stern femininity, stoic femininity. Like... he might, whoever might wear flamboyantly colored clothing, lots of makeup, be very alluring in a feminine way, but the attitude behind this person's energy is stoic, is strong, is like Margaret Thatcher kind of thing, like the Iron Lady. Like, I'm about to go in this boardroom and chop some heads off. I'm about to go in this house, and this house is about to be clean from top to bottom because Mama's not taking it no more. And Mama's walking in the house with heels on. Her hair is a little flat because of the day at work, but she's still a lady. I hope you see what I mean? So there's this sort of meeting of the two energies of being feminine and soft in the sense of caring, in the sense of like supportive, but also being dynamic and active and being in control and being the one who calls the shots. Okay? So some of you are going to take that energy on, or someone in your vicinity is doing that on your behalf, or you're just dealing with someone who's like that and maybe you have to go up against that person. I don't know. Additional to that, you've got the 10 of, almost blanked on that word again, Wands, 10 of Wands. as a part of your outcome. So 10 of Wands indicates that there's a burden. There's some hard work ahead of you. But it's sort of at this culmination point. Like, it's upright, right? So it's very present. It's very much a part of your time spent in November. But the thing that they want me to draw your attention to is this guy, he's making progress, and he's not doing it in the smartest way. He could, you know, get some rope and tie those wands together and carry them easily, or he could go get a mule or something and have that beast of burden carry the wands, but he's not. But what is key here is that the town that he is moving towards is not super far away. So we can assume from this, or we can conclude from this, Aries, that your destination, whatever it is, whoever it is, wherever, whatever it is nearby. So if it's a matter of moving, in some cases like physically moving, physically making a change to your environment, it's not far away. So if you're moving houses, okay, so maybe you're moving to a different neighborhood within your city. Boom, not far away. If you're moving from one relationship to the next, not far away. You got somebody waiting in the wings, you got them waiting in the wings, and they're not far away. It's burdensome to, like, you know, tell your partner, you know, I'm leaving, I'm going to be moving out, or you're going to be moving out, and you're going to be doing that quite soon because, you know, whoever's waiting over there for me, you know, I don't want to keep them waiting. I don't want to be rude. It's kind of what I'm feeling. So, and I'm not, again, I'm saying that kind of flippantly, but I don't feel that it's a flippant situation for those where there's a romantic entanglement and you're kind of getting out of that. It's not comfortable for you. It's not comfortable for the person that you're leaving. And in some cases, not very comfortable for the person that you're going towards. But regardless of what role you're in, it is soon to accumulate or soon to come to pass, to be over with. The most difficult part of it, okay? And again, with this communication coming right next to it, or this archetype of clear communication in the Queen of Swords coming next to that, there might be like some acknowledgement in a conversation between you and someone else. Like, look, this is the situation. Things are hard now. I don't want them to get any harder, so let's go ahead and do this. Or this is what I'm going to do to minimize my burden. I don't know what you plan to do, Barbara, but here's what I'm doing. So there's this idea that the communication, or excuse me, this person acknowledges the burden, but this person also acknowledges that I don't want to deal with that no more. Like, this, I'm done with this. Queen of Swords is done with this burden. Queen of Swords is like, I'm over it. I'm getting some rope. I'm getting these wands tied up and I'm going to carry them into town like a smart person, not like a dummy carrying them loose like that. Or I'm going to go to town. I'm going to get a mule. I'll be back and I'm going to pick up these wands and then I'm going to go. Like, whatever she's planning to do, she's communicating it clearly because she has a clear line of sight of what's bothering her. And she would also be someone who has like a solution to the problem. She's not, all the court cards to a certain degree are not interested in maintaining problems. They're here to combat them. They're here to find solutions to the problem. Queen of Swords definitely, like I said, would be dynamically trying to change those that circumstance, okay? Now, your overall energy for November. Emperor card, your own energy, Aries. Hello. So you're definitely, with this, your majors are very major. Death in reverse, strength card, and the Emperor. So your majors are major. All majors are major, but these are like heavy hitters in my opinion. And so the Emperor is about having dominion, about having control, about feeling that what you're doing is for the greater good of everyone, even if it's difficult. When you think about an emperor, emperors don't become emperors because they're always super diplomatic. Historically, a lot of great leaders, emperors, kings, queens, presidents, whomever, people that lead a nation, lead a group of people, lead a kingdom, whatever, they don't get it always because they're nice, because they believe in trade and diplomacy across cultural lines or geographical lines. A lot of those people got to be the emperor or got to be the empress or whoever because they took heads, because they conquered other people, because they conquered other nations. Not to say that's exactly what you need to do, but there's this idea of, to make my kingdom flourish, to take care of my people, I might have to go and hurt other people. And that's not an easy burden. Because, as you can see, the Emperor, he's older, right? So he's been doing this quite a while. But he also wears his armor underneath his cloak. Underneath his red robe, or underneath his red cloak, however you want to think of it. But he wears this armor, which means he's constantly ready for battle. Constantly ready for a conflict. Constantly ready to face adversaries or adverse circumstances. So there's this idea, Aries, that, like I said, you're going to move. And you're going to move when you're ready. And whatever comes at you that is going to conflict with you, that's going to battle back against you, you would be best, and I feel you will be. I don't think I have to tell you to do it, but maybe this is just, you know, a friendly reminder. You have to be ready to go to battle for what you want. I don't feel that you're going to shy away from that. Most of you are not. Most of you are there. Even those who are inactive, you're just slower than your fellow Aries to get to that point. But when you get to that point, Aries, you are in it. That's your energy. You are in it. So I think that energy, as again being the overall, is kind of like the backdrop of what's going on. It's your legacy. It's your history. You are an emperor. You are an empress. You are a leader. You are a king. You are a queen. You know that. You know that you have a way about you that other people can look to and say, oh man, I like what Aries did. I want to do that too. Or Aries, why are you letting this happen? You know that people, even yourself, have a certain expectation that you're going to be strong, fierce, and in control. Some of you have been away from that energy longer than others, but most of you, this is something that you're very regularly associated with or very regularly able to tap into. It's just a matter of realizing it's there when you're ready. When you're ready, the Emperor is there, and he will serve you because that's your man. That's you guys, right? All right, Aries, that is your reading for November. I hope something that I said today resonated with you. If it did, drop a comment below. You know, I like to read those things. You can also like the video if you liked it. Share it if you feel there are other people out there that could benefit from hearing the message. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And I will be back, hopefully. No, I will be back in a few weeks' time when I do your December reading. So until then, I thank you guys so much for watching. Take care.